decipherer, and I help you to crack the code of your sleeping dreams so you can sleep sound and dream deep. This evening I have two little dreams, but as we already know, little dreams can contain lots of information compacted. So, and there seems to be something going on with connecting and disconnecting, but we'll see what's going on with this as we go through the dreams. The first dream, the dreamer was helping his capoeira teacher or a capoeira teacher to set up for an event or a performance of some kind. And apparently the capoeira master had extension leads or extension cords that were all too short for the space that was going to be used. So the dreamer went into another room to fetch some replacements and then switched them over so that the equipment, whatever it was, could work. And that's the end of the dream. Very, very short dream. But wait, we'll see what happens with that. There's a little bit more, though. There was another person at the event, a woman, and she apparently was, and the dreamer had some sparks between them. What the sparks or what the connection was between them exactly wasn't clear, but there was apparently some kind of attraction that was clearly felt by the dreamer. Now that is the end of the dream. The second dream, the dreamer observed, I would imagine, one of the sanctuary maintenance operatives, and there's no exact explanation of what these sanctuary maintenance operatives were doing, but nevertheless, one of these staff persons who works in the maintenance area was in or in possession of, it's not quite clear, an old van from this company, which I believe is called Sanctuary. The van, as I said, was old, and for some reason, the dreamer associated the van with an Morris Minor, which was a certain shade of green. Apparently, this van had the same shade of green as a typical Morris Minor. In addition, this old van had a private number plate. Now, I don't know how, if private number plate in this is, if it's my American English that's not getting it, or there's an actual meaning. But we'll get to that. But there's a private number plate in any case. Does private in this case mean private in terms of can't be seen or hidden? Or does it mean like vanity plates, as we would say in the States, where it has a specific message that you pay extra to have on your license plate? We shall see. So, what is dream number one supposed to be about, or what could it be about? Because the meaning of dreams can change over time, depending on our additional experience, a different perspective on a particular subject or area of our lives. So the meaning of a dream isn't absolutely definitive. It depends on the point of view that you're looking at it. But let's start with the extension cords, which were too short. Now, the implication behind that is that there can't be a connection, or there's an inability to connect equipment at this event because the extension cords were too short. But there's an implication there of a lack of power or disconnected power. The power is available, it's there, but it can't be accessed because the connection doesn't reach. Now, I wonder if there's some place or some aspect of the dreamer's life where he may feel disconnected, excuse me, or falling short in some way. Now, there's another possibility that occurred to me with this when I read this that is a bit more basic in its in its association, in that it could be an actual sexual reference. Is falling short somehow in the bedroom a concern for the dreamer? And or the the analogy of an extension cord, something long and thin. You get the idea. So I just wonder if there's something to that for the dreamer. Now, these extension cords were replaced. The dreamer went into another room, and remember, rooms can represent aspects of our inner lives, in different parts of our inner lives. So, but the dreamer went into this other room and found longer cords and switched them over. Now, that makes me go back to whether there's some concern on the dreamer's part about length, size, performance, tied up with these extension cords. Who knows? We'll have to see what the dreamer makes of all of that. But I put it out there because that's one of many possibilities that could resonate with the dreamer. But the only way that we'll be sure is when it clicks in his head and he says, aha, yep, that's it. Now, there's a connection, a different kind of connection, which makes me think that this connection is more than just electrical. There's a connection between the dreamer and the only female that appears in the dream. She is named, and I wonder if this Maria is someone that the dreamer knows in waking life, and if so, what does she evoke for the dreamer? Now, there is a hint of some kind of connection or vibe going on between the dreamer and this lady, Maria, but what exactly that vibe is about isn't specified. But again, it makes me tend to think, given the symbolism that's gone before it, that there's an attraction between the two people. Okay, so we're going to leave that dream for the moment and see, what did I tell you? I mean, look at all the number of things that I was able to pull out of what was a dream that took less than 2 minutes to tell you about. There's a lot of information compacted in dreams. You just have to know how to unpick it to be able to understand what the message actually is. Now, for dream number 2, the dreamer saw or encountered someone driving an old sanctuary van. Now, it may very well be that this is a bleed over for the client, for the dreamer rather, with regards to his working life. And it may be something about work that has bled into his dream, and this is a bit of a smokestack burning off some stress. But having said that, let's look at sanctuary in and of itself and see what that throws up. Now, sanctuary, if you look it up in the dictionary, is a place of refuge, a place of safety, a place of asylum if somebody's fleeing from persecution or something. But it's also a holy place. The name of a church is called the sanctuary. So it's also a place that has spiritual significance. And I wonder if this sanctuary is a extrapolation or a metaphor for the dreamer inner life, that's the the space where the dreamer feels safe, perhaps. I mean, as I said, the sanctuary has varying meanings, and it would be interesting to see what sanctuary brings up for the dreamer himself. It may actually be his workplace. It may be something else, or the workplace standing instead of something else. So if we go on the premise for the moment that the sanctuary that's being referred to in this second dream refers to the inner space or inner life of the dreamer, what is causing the dreamer to feel the need to find sanctuary, to kind of hide himself or to protect himself from something or someone? The other thing about this sanctuary maintenance man, he said there was one of them, implying that there were more of them. If there were others, who, where were they? I mean, not who were they so much, but where were they? Were they around? Were they visible? Or was it just this one man of many or several who was seen in the dream? Now, I'm intrigued by this old van, this old sanctuary van, which looks like a green Morris Minor. Now, this Morris Minor has appeared in another dream, and I just wonder what the association of that is for the dreamer. As I mentioned the last time that Morris Minors came up, that it was a very popular car in the post World War II era and into the 50s and 60s, I believe, and for quite some time, so maybe about a period of 20, 30 years, it was quite popular family vehicle. And I wonder if there's something around family, around tradition, around the status quo, if you will, that is embodied in that Morris Minor. Or perhaps the old van, and it's clear that this is an old vehicle. Does that stand in as a representative for old ways of thinking or old ways of doing things? What does that old Morris Minor actually mean to the dreamer? Now, color in dreams, as I've mentioned before, has a role to play. What color it is, or shade of a color, if there's color at all. Now, the only color that is actually mentioned is the color green. And the color green is exactly in the middle spectrum of the color wheel. It's exactly in the middle. So it's a color that represents balance. And I wonder that something about perhaps going back to the old ways or old perspectives or style of doing things represents comfort and safety or sanctuary for the dreamer. Now, this car was apparently stationary. It wasn't in movement. It wasn't being used. It was just present in the dreamer's dream. There's something again about power being available, just like in the first dream. Power is available, but whatever it is doesn't run. And I just wonder if that's a indication perhaps to the dreamer that there must be a disconnect somewhere, that there's power to be had, but there's no connection. And so that the dreamer is cut off from power of movement or power of change in some way because their connection isn't being made for whatever reason. Now, the final thing that I found quite interesting was that this private number plate. Now, again, it may be a semantic issue, and I'm just misunderstanding that private in this sense actually means, like I said, a vanity plate, what we call vanity plates in the States, which are plates that, may have your name on it or some special, some phrase or something that means something special to you, and you pay a hell of a lot of extra money for that. If that's what the dreamer was talking about, it would be interesting to know what was the name on that vanity plate. If, however, the the plate was actually blank or blanked out in some way so that it couldn't be seen, that strikes me as rather strange, because if it's a public vehicle on the road, it needs to have visible plates with clear numbers or letters or words or whatever on them. I mean, properly registered. So for a car to have a private and blank or blanked out plate would be extremely unusual, and you would have to wonder, what does that mean? Uh, there's no way to identify the vehicle, and which makes it already suspect. So I just wonder if we what that may mean for the dreamer himself. And remember, cars and vehicles of different types, whether it be a bus, a taxi, on foot, taking the train, any mode of transport, in my experience with my clients and my own dreams, have represented movement in my life or in the person's life. So sometimes you're moving more quickly, sometimes you're moving more slowly, sometimes you're at a complete standstill. And if this car is the dreamer, it's parked somewhere. It is stationary. It's not moving. So it's not going anywhere. It's just sitting there. And maybe if it's just sitting there, it may be like a car that the registration is run out, so you take it off the road. So it technically doesn't need a license plate because it's not on the road. And I wonder if there's something about that that could be significant for the dreamer, that this vehicle is just sitting there, not going anywhere, there's no power running through it, it's not going anywhere, nothing is being done with it. It seems to be off the road, off paced, or if you were skiing, off piste. So perhaps there's something in both of these dreams about disconnect, not being connected, not being clued up, not being joined up, and therefore stationary, not moving, nothing's happening. And perhaps that's something that the dreamer needs to think about and look at. So there you have it, 2 little dreams with lots of information. And I hope that this little exercise gives you some ideas about how to look at your own dreams. But if you're curious, you're not quite sure, or you'd rather get some help, I'm here. You can always drop me a personal message or book an appointment with me at www.meetingwithsheila.com. And I'll be happy to give you some advice and tips to help you to crack the code of your own dreams. So that's it for me for the evening. In the coming days, you'll be hearing more about my coming book launch for my latest book in the month of July. So just keep watching, keep listening. There'll be nearly 2 weeks in terms of business days of celebrations for my new book, with raffles and not raffles, but some discount offers and other activities, interviews, all kinds of things that you can take advantage of. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Have a fantastic evening and great rest of the week, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.